An all-new episode of The Mitch, Lafon, and Jeremy White Show.
Tuesday at noon.
Available wherever you stream.
Featured on the Peacemaker official playlist from HBO Max original series Peacemaker featuring John Cena. They're all over the soundtrack, and we'll talk all about that. Welcome back to the show for the first time, Bill Leverty. There he is, everybody.
Let's talk Peacemaker real quick. I mean, what does that do for the band in order, to be on the soundtrack where everybody's going, oh, Wigwam, Tiger Tails, Firehouse?
Well, it's been wonderful. I mean, and it's for the whole genre. I mean, I think it's really exposed a lot of people that weren't aware of our music to be exposed to the whole genre. So it's great. I mean, whoever the music director is that picked our song, I can't thank him enough. And like you said, the placement that we got is so good. And truth be told, I don't have HBO. And I don't watch a lot of TV, but some people have sent me the clips of it, and John did an awesome job of really making us look a whole lot cooler than we really are.
Yeah, because that scene of him crying in bed listening to, it's just so awesome and so funny, but just like so relatable at the same time, because it's like if you were like a kid in the 90s, or when that record came out, 1990, it's like if you're laying in bed, some girl just broke your heart, and it's like, yeah, that's just like the scene.
Well, people have sent me that clip, and I'm amazed at how many people were familiar with it, and I think it's spreading a lot because a lot of people who maybe weren't subscribed to HBO Max or whatever are now subscribing to it because of the love of the music.
Totally.
And so it's wonderful that this is coming back around.
Well, let me ask you about this, because we were in Watertown, New York a long time ago, you and I, and you did this show there, and somebody got up and got married to the song or proposed to the song on stage. I don't know if you remember that.
Wow.
Was it Love of a Lifetime?
It was Love of a Lifetime.
Okay, yeah.
And there is just something about that song that has endured. Talk to me about how special that song is, and why do you think it affects people to the point where they want to get married on stage while you play in the background?
It's wild. I mean, there's a lot of love in that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we're so grateful that song came out when it did, at a time when there was some MTV exposure. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, it got a lot. And it just had that emotional connection with people where they felt the love in the song. And it's perpetuated. I mean, back then in 1991 is when the song was released. The album came out in the end of 1990, but the song was released in 91. Right. And I had never heard of Bridal Magazine before, but it was the number one song, the number one wedding song in Bridal Magazine, which is supposedly a deal for, people who are getting married. So people picked it then, and they still pick it today. And, it's a wonderful thing to have a song that means so much to so many people.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to go find the Love of a Lifetime ad in one of the billboards or something, and I'm going to make a post, number one song in Bridal Mag. I'm going to try to do that for this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
thanks, that's cool. Yeah, you find a lot of the cool stuff, Mitch. I mean, I
spend hours.
Yeah, because he has no life, Bill. He sits there in his chair going through old billboards like, oh, yes, there's Firehouse. Okay, yep, Twitter.
I know. Well, I'm basically
you're a
retired these days.
I think.
Yeah, well, I'm basically retired these days, so hey, what the hell?
By the way, I was gonna say the song that's in Peacemaker is actually "Don't Treat Me Bad." That's the one that's on the soundtrack. So he's in bed, don't treat me bad, the whole thing.
Right.
It's
true,
just,
but I wanted to get to Love of a Lifetime because
that's the one.
I want to talk about the Watertown story. Just real quick, we are celebrating. That's the word. The 19th anniversary of your last album with original music. Right?
Wow, that's a big number.
2003.
It's been that long.
Yeah. Now they did an album in 2010 or 11, which was a remake of some of the older ones, but the last original music was 2003. Does hearing that annoy you? I mean, is it time to maybe do a single and put it out on iTunes or Spotify? Or
I say yes, I think so. And we were so busy live and had the the lockdown not been the way it was rolled out, we probably would have had at least a song done by now. But we need a little time to get to everybody together, and we're on the road for so long. And then when we go, okay, we're going to be locked down for April, but we've got May. So we're going to, spend some time with the family, and we're ready to go out in May. And then the end of April shows up, and then May drops out, but we got June, we got our summer still there. And then we get right to the end of May, and then June drops out, then July, and then August. And it just right as you get up to right when you're about to go out and play, you've rehearsed to go out and play and everything, then that month would drop out. So I think a lot of bands, suffered that. We've still got this coming month, but then it disappears from them, or it's pulled out from their feet. So I think had we known that it was going to be like that, we would have definitely had something done. And it's hard. We should have had some songs written and done by now, but we've been focusing on the live playing. And then when we're at home, we're doing our family thing and our other side things, and life kind of gets in the way and stuff. And so that's just the way it's been.
Well, I'm sure as a musician, you've always got some stuff, happening on the fretboard, come up with some cool licks or some riffs. Or, you're sitting there in the studio, you must have some stuff demoed.
Well,
well, there you go.
Of course, Bill does a lot of solo records too.
Right.
I got that one.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm always fiddling around with the guitar. I can't, I think I was, I'm hooked up to it most of the day. So, but that keeps me from sucking as bad.
Right.
The truth is that if I don't practice all the time, I just suck worse. So if I practice enough, I can keep myself to a certain level of not sucking so bad. And we all know that the competition out there is pretty fierce. And when you see the great guitar players out there who can play incredible stuff flawlessly, it puts the pressure on guys like me, where I need to practice a lot. So I do.
What's your practice regimen like? Are you do you sit down for 20 minutes a day and you have to play, or?
Oh, I practice for at least 3 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, and I usually do it after dinner. I get a glass of wine, and I come down here and I practice for 3 hours. And that's when, everybody else is watching TV. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I kind of miss out on some of the pop culture, but it's working for a living. That's the way I look at it. It's bench time. I got to sit here and I got to work.
Yeah. What is the practice like? Is it like running scales? Are you playing riffs? What's the regimen?
What I like to do is whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's what I enjoy. And I really enjoy this guitar. It's a CR Allsip guitar that they made for me. Nice. And I really love playing through the Fractal Audio FM3 is what I'm going through now. I've got an Axe FX 3 over there, and it sounds like I'm playing in an arena, And so I can play here at a low volume. I'm not, keeping anybody awake if I want to go till 3 a.m.
Right.
And I'm not, waking up the neighbors or anything. And so, a lot of times I'll come up with an idea, and then I'll program some drums to go along with it. And then I'll try to, go back and listen to some of the other things that I've laid down and see if there's anything that fits with that. So I just kind of do whatever I want to do. Sometimes it's productive, sometimes it's not. At least if it's not productive where I'm making new music, at the very least, keeping my fingers working. And that's what I got to do.
It's half the battle.
He's doing that cat scratch fever. He's doing those
covers.
I
love that one.
That's.
You can't. One of the best riffs ever written, right there.
It's a fantastic riff. You can say whatever you want about Ted, but you can't deny that he's got great riffs.
Can't take the music away from him.
Can't take that music away. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's the man for sure.
Man. Let me ask you this. You recently had Andrew Freeman come in and sing a couple of songs. I know that you can sing because you sang Deuce on the Kiss tribute I did. Was there a conversation of, hey, why don't we just get Bill to sing these for the last 2 or 3 shows?
No way, because CJ's
too high,
phenomenal singer, and it's way out of my range. I could maybe sing half a song, and then my voice would crap out. And
Yeah.
Andrew came and did a phenomenal job, and we're so grateful. Just an awesome singer, and we're so glad to have CJ back. And CJ's doing great. And we're playing actually this weekend up in Monoman, Minnesota. So
Nice.
Shooting Star Casino. So it's a great room, 1,800 people.
Hello, Shooting Star Casino. How you doing with Firehouse?
Was that
Jeremy? We have to get you.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Hey, Jeremy can sing. I'll send you some
Make an
videos.
appearance.
Talking about
You come out and hang out with us.
I'll just hang out. That's
yeah,
all I do.
dude, Bill, did you ever see the video of Mitch doing sound check with Foreigner's Tex? They did "Lick It Up" by Kiss, and it's the most awful video. It's so bad.
But part of it was that they were playing a trick on me because they didn't put any kind of sound, so I couldn't hear myself.
Oh yeah. It was a dry stage. Everybody was on in-ears, and there was no wedges.
Wow. Well, that's
that was rough. I was like,
trial by fire there, because there's so many times where we get up there and it's usually nobody's fault, but our monitors aren't right. It's because there was a 15-minute set change and we're the second band on or whatever. And if you want to play, you get up and go. And we, all right, here we go. And nobody can hear anything that they're doing, but we just get up and do it anyway. And
it's so frustrating.
Just hope that we're singing in tune. It's a tough thing.
But monitors have come a long way since the 80s. I mean, those big wedges and the amps. I mean, you've got a full PA system in your ears now if you're using like JH Audio or.
You're right. And if it's all hooked up properly, and it usually is for the headliner, but sometimes for the opening act, we plugged channel 1 into channel 13 and channel 14 into 7. Is that, we'll get on up there and go anyway. And,
man.
What we're hearing is not right. What's out front is, but we can't pitch and we can't get time off of what's coming out front, because that's usually like a long time later it bounces back to us.
Yeah.
So without monitors, so I feel for you, Mitch. I know what you went through there, brother.
Dude, it was so bad. Just before we move out from Andrew, just what was that moment like being on stage and not having CJ there? Because at some point you got to go, "Ooh, that song doesn't sound right," or "Oh, that's interesting. Maybe we should tell CJ to try it." Like there's got to be something going on. It's not just nothing.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Freeman, being the guy who sings the Ronnie James Dio songs and all those Last in Line songs, which I think their original music is awesome. I think everybody should check out Last in Line. It's a great band. I saw them live. I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago when they came through here. He had his take on the songs. And when I was talking to him beforehand, I said, man, please sing them your way. No, DJ doesn't want you to sing them his way. If just whatever you feel, sing what you feel, because I want you to have a good time with this gig,
Right.
And being up there and having him up there, it was very different, but it was very good. I mean, he did a wonderful job. And a lot of that was last minute. So it was thrown at him at the last minute. So for him to come up there and be able to, we did a couple of arena shows and he got out there and acted like he'd been singing them for 30 years. So I just have nothing but great things to say about Andrew.
I mean, I saw the videos and I went, "Wow,
yeah,
that's pretty good." I go, CJ, better be careful.
There's no place like home, and CJ is home for our lead singer. But when he was out, he said, "Man, you guys, you need to go out there and be able to pay your bills, and here's some opportunities. So let's do it." And Andrew filled those shoes so well in an impossible situation.
Yeah.
And imagine the nerves that guy has to be able to do that. I mean, because he's going to be judged from note one. But I think he really did fantastic.
Yeah, and he's going to be judged by shitty YouTube videos.
Exactly.
Go, I saw you on YouTube.
Yeah, the house guy doing sound at the Brass Monkey isn't going to do him justice. I mean, it's like.
By the way, we love the Brass Monkey.
Yes. Shout out to Scotty.
Shout out to Scotty. But
go ahead. Right. Well, I want to get back
to
to
gear talk.
Yeah, I want to go back talk about "Don't Treat Me Bad." I mean, that's a song that's featured in the Peacemaker soundtrack. Do you have any memories of recording that song in the studio at the time?
I do. I have some frightening memories. That was the fourth time we'd recorded that song, and everything had gone well. When it came time to record it for the real record, I was having a hard time with the intro, the acoustic intro. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I didn't play my acoustic guitar, which was a little bit of a strike against me, so to speak, because I wasn't used to the Gibson that they handed me. They handed me this beautiful Gibson LGO as the engineer Doug Oberkirker's guitar. And it didn't feel exactly like I was used to, but I was like, okay, it sounds great. So we'll get through this. Well, the session was, me playing to a click track, and I couldn't have the click track very loud in my ears. And I just wasn't nailing it time-wise. And
Wow.
the producer, David Prater, was honest with me. He's like, man, it didn't really lock it in time. You need to come back tomorrow and let's do it. And I said, okay. So speaking of nerves, I got really nervous because this was, my opportunity to play or not play on a record. And I was freaking out. Went in the second time and I didn't nail it again. And so he's like, look,
Wow.
I'm going to give you one more chance tomorrow, but if you don't do it, I got to get this done. And I'm gonna have to figure out who's going to do it.
I'm calling up Dan Huff. Dan Huff's going to be in the studio tomorrow.
I was going to say we were in upstate New York, and Al Di Meola, we just played with Al Di Meola.
Oh, wow.
And he'd come in the studio and listen to it. And he's like, oh yeah, it sounds cool, man. So David already had this relationship with Al Di Meola. And all I was thinking is, one of my guitar heroes, is going to be probably playing this if I don't get it together. But I went in the third time and I got it.
Right.
And,
to be fair, I mean, at least it's one of your guitar heroes taking your spot, if anything.
Oh, I know. But the song, the rhythm is dun chicka chicka dun chicka chicka dun chicka dun chicka chicka dun chicka chicka dun chicka dun chicka chicka dun chicka chicka dun. And the way I was playing it was dun chicka chicka dun chicka chicka dun.
Right.
It wasn't dun chicka chicka dun chicka chicka dun chicka dun chicka chicka dun. And it gave me a lesson in humility and in rhythm. You got to really lock in like the hi-hat. And so, I'm still working on that. I mean, that's why I'm practicing now. I practice my rhythm as much as I do my lead.
Wow.
Playing in time. It's hard to play in time.
It's amazing how just like such minuscule little things really do add to the groove and the vibe of the record. I mean, if you don't get that chugga chugga right, it's not going to have the same feel.
If it sounds like you're struggling, it's not ready yet to be on the record. And it's got to sound like you're relaxed and it's effortless. And it wasn't sounding that way. And David Prater was right. And I was, the speakers don't lie.
Yeah.
So that's the way it was. And then we didn't have a lot of time to record it either. We were in Bear Track Studio. It was however much, per hour. And he didn't have he gave me 3 chances. So that was the only one. That was the only one that I had trouble with, fortunately. But you asked, so that's the honest truth. I struggled with that one.
Well, you know what? It's cool to hear that because it's like, when you hear the final record, everybody thinks, oh, these rock stars, they just went in, cut the track, went back to the bar. But meanwhile, you're sitting there struggling to even hear the click in your ears. People don't understand, what goes into the performance and capturing that.
You're right. I couldn't turn the click up any louder because it would bleed into the mics. He had those mics really hot. And also, after you play it once, you have to play it again the exact same way. That's 3 guitars that you hear on dun chicka chicka dun chicka chicka dun chicka. That's 3 of them. So I had to triple track it, and the first one had to be right in order for the second 2. You can't, if the first one isn't right, second 2, if they're right, the third one, the original one's going to make it still sound wonky. So
yeah.
It is what it is.
Here's a real geeky question. Where was the click track coming from? A Lindrum or?
That's a good question. It was probably geeky. A Lin. They probably had a Lin in there or some Yamaha RX, drum machine or something. But it was a shaker,
So it was just a shaker.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and it was also back in the days before Pro Tools where it was a tape. So the tape go, okay, are you ready? Yeah. Okay. It would start and then it would go, and then I go. And then if I didn't really nail it, they go, okay, let's rewind it. Okay, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm even more nervous because I messed up the first time. Okay, let's go. And then, no, you didn't get it. Oh, now I'm even more nervous because I didn't get it right. All right, here we go. Go. And then, so I crumbled a few times, but I finally got it.
Don't you miss the days of tape, Bill?
It sure sounded good. But
yeah,
now there's emulation in Pro Tools, so I use that one a lot.
Oh yeah,
I want to ask you a sort of imaginary question in a sense. If you were to record new music with Firehouse, what would be your preference? To go back to the first album or the second album and try to recreate the sound and the mood in the 1990s, or do you say, F it, we're 2027, Let's go ahead and make a 2027 track. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. I would want to do both. I mean, I think you can do both. I want the big drum sounds, and I want the big guitars, and I want a huge low end bass sound, and I want layers and layers of vocals and harmonies, and I want, you know, that beautiful CJ snare lead voice out front with his. It's like butter the way he sings. It's so effortless, and then he's got all the power and all the emotion in there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, have a great hook to a song that where people would come out and go, wow, have you heard that new Firehouse song?
Right.
I think that's one of the difficult things that keeps us from doing is we haven't had that hook and that chorus where we go, that's our next single. And we want the next single to be something that makes people go, wow, that's even better than anything they've ever done.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard. I think that's what we struggle with psychologically, you know, to be
Well,
honest.
it's hard. I mean, between Don't Treat Me Bad and Love of a Lifetime, which we talked about, has an impact on people where they want to get married. I mean, how do you write something that'll have that? I mean, you sort of can't.
Yeah.
I write what comes out. And lately it's been, you know, the solo tunes that I've been doing.
Right.
And, you know, and if I can sing them, then I sing them. And that's the way it's been. So I don't really try to think too heavily into what it's going to be. I just try to play. If something cool comes out, I lay it down. Then I come back and I listen to it and I go, yeah, I've got an idea for that. I try to think of lyrical ideas and I write them down in a little book, my hook book, and then go back to that. And if I've got something that's cool, you know, then I try to make a song out of it. That's all I do. I don't really have any kind of formulaic way of doing it other than trying to let it come out naturally.
Well, the cool thing about Firehouse is that you guys have always had incredible production. I mean, even the first time I interviewed you was when you guys did a bunch of re-records of some of those classic songs. And I mean, even even the production on those, I mean, they sounded, if not better than the originals. I mean, you still had the cannonball snare and the big backing vocals. I just always loved that sound. I mean, you listen to a song like All She Wrote, and it's got one of the greatest interludes like of life. I mean, or like that like post solo like bridge section with the riff. And
if I think you're talking about this one.
Oh.
Something like that.
Yeah. And Mitch, by the way, that drum fill on that like section, by the way, that it's so good.
Is that not the perfect Michael Foster fill? I mean, you know, it just shows his creativity and how he lifted that song. He's got them all over every recording we've ever done, and he's recorded on most of my solo stuff too, because you know, he's just a really creative drummer, and he's got a lot of power and a lot of groove, man.
On that harmonized, Mitch, just one last quick question. Sure. On the final part of the stretch of the solo there's like a really nice harmonized guitar part. Now, was that like tracked or was that through a harmonizer?
So I tracked it. It was 3 tracks, but live I step on my fractal harmonizer and it sounds pretty convincing. But I tracked them.
Wow.
You know, on the first record and on the re-record.
Wow.
Well.
Yeah, because even your performance is so locked in, and every single note is like, what was it like trying to arrange that in the studio? Was it a lot of trial and error, or?
I think it was a lot of error. But I think that mainly, you know, I came up with the melody for it, and then trying to figure out harmonies that would work with it, and not go linearly like this. Where, you know, this would go up this way, these two would go, then this would be here, and then that harmony would be here. So a lot of the if you listen to the harmonies by themselves, you go like, well, that doesn't sound right. But together with that melody, it supported it and made it sound good. So it was a lot of error and a little bit of trial.
Right. Yeah. That's just one of those songs that you just had that. I don't know what it is about that section specifically, the solo and then the post solo with just the guitar and the hi-hat. Like you just have to crank that up. They don't make rock music like that anymore.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, that song started off with that riff, and then CJ, it was God, I believe. CJ had this idea for the song right away. And he sang it to some like, wow, that's so cool. And it just, the song was written in probably, I don't know, you know, the riff was I gave him a tape of a bunch of riffs, and that one stood out to him, and he said, "Oh, I got something for this one." And now we're like, "Wow!" And it was done in 15 minutes. Or whatever,
and he just like went like bye bye baby, like he sang it and it was done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he that chorus he had, and we wrote the verses together. I mean, the verse is kind of like a simplistic version of the chorus. I mean, you just take away some elements and don't move around the chords as much. And then the B section, or the pre-chorus, is just, it goes to the 6th chord, and then 6, 7, 1 is kind of the progression, and then the song was done. And then All She Wrote at the very end, it's still the same chorus riff going on. We didn't know that would fit. All she wrote, all she wrote. It was we were looking at each other like, it works. You know? It was just a surprise, and so it's one of those things where it just, all the pieces just lock in like that. And,
all right, you two, go ahead and perform it. I'll sit back and watch it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Jeremy, you go ahead and sit. Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead and sing.
So the backing vocals on that record, by the way, I mean, you take a song like the intro of All She Wrote. I mean, how many stacks of backing vocals did you guys have to do for that?
I don't remember in the original recording. In the re-record, which we recorded here, I think we got like maybe 16 tracks, you know,
on each side or total.
It's a 3-part thing, and there's a little bit of a low that happens in there every now and then, but every part has to be at least doubled. And I was like, well, while we're in there and we're nailing it, let's get a couple more just to thicken it out even more.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's like 12 to 16, I'd say is what it was. And back there when you're doing the tape days, often we would record a bunch of background vocals, fly them off onto a 2-track, mix them, and then fly them back on. So you turn 12 or 16 tracks down to 2 to a stereo pair, and that would save you on the tracks and open up a bunch of tracks on the machine. So you could.
I love asking about the backing vocals for the 80s because, you know, one time we interviewed Bryan Adams, and he was telling a story about he and Mutt Lange recording backing vocals for a song, and they did 24 tracks of just going, oh, oh, oh. And they went back and they listened, and Bryan was like, wow, that sounds really good. And Mutt was like, oh, well, that's just the left channel.
Well,
and we were like, wow.
Masters. Yeah, that's amazing.
That guy. Just real quick, talking about studio stuff, because you and Michael, you know, you're really good at what you do, but you don't seem to really do a lot of the sort of Steve Lukather stuff where you appear on a whole bunch of albums.
The session stuff.
The session stuff, has that never been offered to you? Are you just not interested? You know, are you scoring stuff and we just don't know about it?
I'm very interested. I've got an unlisted number. Maybe that's my problem.
There you go.
But yeah, you know, I do a few, and I love doing them. But you know, maybe they're just not coming in from you know, like the people that are calling Steve Lukather. I mean, you know, it's like if you can call Steve Lukather, you can call Bill Leverty. Who are you going to call?
Yeah,
I'd call Steve. You know.
Do you think there's a bit of a talking about that though? I mean, do you think there's a bit of a stigma around like the whole '80s guitar player scene? Like they're just sort of one-trick ponies that could just play these melodic guitar parts and that's it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. I always thought that '80s guitar players were some of the best guitar players that ever came out. I mean, as far as really doing challenging lead work. But a lot of what's behind those leads are great rhythms. I mean, I can name a bunch of guitar players out there that influenced me, and their rhythm playing was just so good. And then when their lead playing came on, it's like, oh my goodness, you know. So it all started with Eddie Van Halen. I mean, well, Ted Nugent before that for me, Leonard Skinner, Ted Nugent,
Michael Schenker. Don't forget Michael Schenker.
Michael Schenker was a huge one for me. I mean, and Jeff Beck and Steve Morse. You know, but you know, the rhythm playing behind those solos, if you listen to, or just the rhythm playing in the chorus is really cool. So that's kind of where the song foundation lies, is in the rhythm.
Yeah. No, totally. Huh? Well, look,
the rhythm of love, as the Scorpions would say.
That's a great song, isn't it?
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Hey, listen, that the Schenker, actually, the stuff that the Scorpions have done with both Matthias and Michael and Uli, that combination is, to me, is just perfect.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know, and the other day when Judas Priest was like, "We're going to be a 4-piece," this is like,
no.
What?
What?
I didn't hear about that.
Oh, they announced about a month ago. They said we're going to go out as a 4-piece. We're getting rid of Andy. We're that's it. We're gonna. And the fans revolted all over Twitter and Facebook. They went, "No, you're not." And about 2 weeks later, the Judas Priest went, "All right. We'll keep Andy. What the hell?"
Yeah.
And can you imagine if the Scorpions came out and said, "Listen, it's just going to be Rudolph and Klaus. Forget Matthias. We've had enough." It'd be like, "No, you don't. Don't do. No."
No, you can't
Some
do
of
that.
their songs, like the Scorpion songs, so many of their rhythms have one guitar in one ear, one guitar in the other, and they're doing different things that make that rhythm work.
Well, same thing with Def Leppard. Those orchestrated guitar parts just wouldn't be the same without.
No.
That's the part of their music, and you know, that's what makes them special. You know,
Right.
what makes Scorpions is to me, you know, the whole ball of wax, but those two guitars are so important.
Yeah, it was just weird when Priest said they're going to be one guy. It's like,
Yeah, you can't do it.
you're a twin attack band.
It even looks weird on stage. Like,
Yeah.
Then again, with Pro Tools, you could technically have Michael Schenker up there with them every night.
Or in their case, Tipton.
Oh yeah, or Tipton. Oh yeah, it's like Scorpions. Yeah, yeah. Put in Tipton. Put KK and Tipton, and just have Pro Tools running the whole time. Save money.
Oh, you'd be cheating the kids.
That's okay.
That's true. It's all for the kids. Come on.
We'll do that the next time CJ has to skip a couple of dates. We'll just
There you
play the
go.
vocals. You'll split the money 3 ways instead of 4. It's better.
And we're nervous about, you know, flights, because all our dates are fly dates, as you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we're always nervous that, oh my goodness, you know, we're cutting it close on this one, but for some reason Delta always comes through for us. I mean, I hear people bitching about Delta, but I mean, they've been a great airline for us. We haven't missed a gig because of an airline. Now, I've missed coming home on time, but I've never missed going out there and getting into the gig. So
this is a revelation. Geez,
well,
artist.
last question on
an artist actually endorsing Delta.
I wish they gave me a discount, but I got to tell you, they've been good to us.
Well, we'll make it up into a clip and at Delta it on Twitter just to make sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks.
Two verified accounts will get you all settled out. But,
the Delta Plus Rewards program, taking care of your flights next time.
Sky Miles.
Yep.
Have you been nervous at all with the whole COVID thing, being on those airlines and those planes and the cruise? You didn't do any cruises because, I mean...
Well, we were on the cruise in February of 20, and you know, I believe that I caught it.
Right.
Or something like it. I had the dry cough and the high fever and the body aches and
No, Bill, you know what that was? That was rock and roll pneumonia.
and the boogie woogie flu. So my wife got it too. It was 3 days of feeling awful, and then another 2 weeks of recovery. And then about a year later, I got something again. Same kind of body aches, fever, the dry cough, you know, so I think, you know, we probably got it again. My wife got it. She went and got a antibody test, and it was positive. So we were exposed to it. Mm-hmm. So we then, you know, started researching everything and started upping our vitamins and taking quercetin. So quercetin, zinc, D3 and C, and a multivitamin and some other anti-inflammatory kind of things like glutathione and turmeric.
Turmeric. Yeah.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
Indian food loves the turmeric.
Yeah. And so since then, I haven't felt better, but I wear a mask on the plane, of course, and I wash my hands a lot, and I try to be respectful of everybody, you know, everybody's social distance and everything like that. But, you know, hopefully this is the end of it with where we are now. I mean, I'm really hoping so, but
stuff's opening back up, man.
It's a scary thing for a lot of people. And the older you get, I think the scarier it gets. And if you got a compromised immune system, it's scary. So I don't, you know, I feel so bad for those people, and I want to do whatever I can to keep them safe. So that's my philosophy on it.
Through all of that, at any point did you just say, you know, it's not worth going out to play. I'm just going to go work at the fucking Midas garage and install some mufflers, and I'm out.
Gonna go to the local Home Depot.
I didn't and I think it's only because I caught it twice and I was able to beat it. And had I not, I probably would have been scared to death, because if you turn on the news, there was that ticker up there saying how many cases, and it just scared me quite a bit. But then, you know, I got it. I got over it. I wouldn't want to get it again. You know, that's for
I just got over it literally. Like I technically am still positive right now, but I powered through 3 days. It felt like there was razor blades in my chest when I take a deep breath. But,
well, I will tell you, I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you, our sound man was sick and he tested positive, and we said, man, you got to stay home. We're really sorry that you're sick, but, and he's like, well, I feel fine now. We're like, well, you got to stay home. And I got some other bad news for you. We all talked about, we hate it, but you got to stay home next week also, because it may stick with you. And he's like, well, I feel great. And because, but I understand. And this is the right call. And although, you know, financially, it wasn't good news for him. He knew, but he'll be back with us this week. But it was 3 weeks ago, and that's the way it was. And he agreed. And he, he's been with us for 19 years and he's never missed a show. He's come out with kidney stones and mixed up.
Wow.
That's how his dedication is. And he's a brother. He's like another band member for us. And Tony Avatar, you rock, bro. Right. And he's much better now, but he was positive. I think this Omicron virus, the Omicron variant, everybody's probably going to catch. And because it's so contagious, hopefully it's not as deadly or as dangerous as the other. So
we'll see. And by the way, that's 2 19-year anniversaries this year for the band. So that's big news.
Yeah. And it's such a shame because the band sounded so good live the last 2 weeks. I don't know. Man, that vocal is just really popping through the mix. I didn't know anything.
There you go.
Tough room, Tony.
Very tough.
Oh, we're just messing with you, Tony. We love you. Get some more gate on that snare. Come on.
Well, the guitars, Tony. I'm going to give you the extra $20.
Yeah, turn them up. Anyways, Firehouse featured on the Peacemaker soundtrack. You can catch it right now. The Peacemaker official playlist on Spotify. Hand curated by the writer and director James Gunn. By the way, he's personally selecting every single song on the soundtrack. So you can thank James Gunn for that.
We love you, James.
There you go.
Yeah. Spotify numbers will be going up.
Yep.
Right.
Bill, do you think at some point Firehouse will re-release the back catalog on remastered vinyl?
It's up to Sony. Sony owns those rights to do it. I've asked the powers that be, and they're considering it. So I hope so. Now I'm getting a lot of requests nowadays for it, and it would be great. And with that scene in Peacemaker, he pulls out vinyl. So come on, Sony, let's do it.
Yeah, maybe if they put the Peacemaker soundtrack out on vinyl, I mean, we'll be able to get, Don't Treat Me Bad on one song.
But that soundtrack is going to change a lot of lives in these bands, and so suddenly it'll be like, oh, yeah, we need to exploit these recordings. Let's get this whole who knows?
And CJ's got to update his stage banter. You heard this one in the Peacemaker show.
That's right. Well, we were lucky in with a song called "Don't Walk Away" that we had on our first record. That song was in The Wrestler.
Oh, nice.
That was featured very well in The Wrestler. So if you get to go see The Wrestler, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's featured in a very nice part of that movie.
Nice.
So,
and of course, I'm guessing that these little placements do pay nicely too. So
it can't hurt. It can hurt.
There you go. Thank you, Bill.
All right, Bill.
Always a pleasure.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for having me on the show. It's really had a great time.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
All right, see you guys.
An all-new episode of The Mitch, Lafon, and Jeremy White Show.
Tuesday at noon.
Available wherever you stream.